It's that time of the year again. Several D1 sports are starting to wrap up as we head into the month of April. And OwlAccess Pass is back to recap some of the highlights from this past week. Stick with us for the next 10 minutes or so, and we'll catch you up on everything you need to know. OAP is back, and it all starts right now. Hello, Owl fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of OwlAccess Pass. I'm Adam Cronally, and Brooklyn Vaughn will join us in just a little bit. The volleyball team had a chance to compete in the AAC tournament for the first time ever over the weekend. First up for the Owls was a match against the top-seeded Houston Cougars. Let's get right into this one. Houston took the opening set 25-18, but then it was all Temple. We're picking this one up in the fourth set. Owls up 2-1, leading 10-6. Tyler Lindgren makes the play here, but the refs rule this one out. But that did not discourage the Owls, who needed just 15 more points to knock out Houston. Later in the set, the Owls find old reliable Marai Bolak-Bassi. Here's one of her 14 kills on the day. She also had 9 digs and 3 blocks. Temple goes on to win this set and knock out Houston 3-1. And then there were two. Temple versus UCF for the AAC championship. UCF came into the match undefeated against the AAC with only one loss out of the conference all season. The Knights also came in winners of the past 2 seasons in the AAC. The match was tied at 1 before UCF took the next 2 sets, outscoring the Owls 50-33. Jem Grimshaw had a double-double with 20 kills and 11 digs, but the Owls fall in the match 3-1. The Knights come away with the AAC championship and an automatic NCAA bid. This is also UCF's 3rd straight AAC championship. Temple finishes the year at 11-6 with more conference wins this year than last year, and the Owls did it with 8 fewer matches, finishing at 4-4 compared to a 3-13 conference record in 2019. It was certainly an exciting end to the season, and players like Bolak-Bassi, Lindgren, and Grimshaw are all scheduled to return next year for their senior seasons. The young freshman Falanika Danielson will, of course, be returning as well for her sophomore season. Spring football is back after last spring season was canceled due to COVID-19. Head coach Rod Carey spoke with the media following the first day of practice on Monday and reflected on the COVID-plagued 2020 season that saw his team finish just 1-6 on the year.
Simply put, we're still in a worldwide pandemic, and that worldwide pandemic caused a ripple effect of things that we had to deal with, and we did not deal with them well, and that starts with me. I didn't do a good enough job through that, and that caused us to be 1-6. So you own it, and you move on from it, and I'm not letting myself off the hook. I ain't letting this team off the hook. I ain't letting nobody off the hook. The staff, me, anybody. Like, we went 1-6, and there's no way that team's a 1-6 football team. Starts with me, trickles down to the staff and down to the players, and you own it and you move forward. And so we're going after everything we do, and we're coaching their butts hard, John. So, there's no sympathy. There's no sympathy in football. So I don't believe in that.
There's definitely going to be plenty of football to talk about in the fall, but let's live in the here and the now. Both tennis teams are on fire right now. Each team is currently on a 6-match win streak. For the men's team, it's been a lot of Philly battles, as you can see here, talking about Villanova, St. Joe's, Drexel, and UPenn all on this list, along with 2 wins against Bucknell at the end of March. Every one of these matches, except that first Bucknell match, took place away from the pavilion. So much for that home court advantage. Over to the women's side. The women's team had a little bit more variety. 3 of the team's 6 wins during the streak have been against Philly schools in St. Joe's, Drexel, and Nova. There's also been 3 matches hosted by Temple, with an additional 3 wins coming on the road. Most recently, the Owls beat both St. Joe's and Drexel away from the Pavilion. Both the men and women are heading to Oklahoma for their next matches to take on Tulsa. Those matches are both scheduled as well for Wednesday. Over to TSC for the final home game on the men's soccer season, which spells senior night. Temple welcomed in the ranked Tulsa squad for a Friday night game, and the Owls took care of business. 1-on-6 is no problem for Sean Karani, who had 2 goals in this one. Little gritty dance for the celebration on his first. In the 21st minute, it's still 1-0 when Nigel Griffith is set up beautifully by senior Mikhail Borger. Griffith taps it in, and it's 2-0 Temple at the half. Owen Goronsky only allowed 1 goal in this one. You will see one of his many saves right here. Second half action, the Owls are on the fast break, but don't forget about the trailman Jalen Campbell. He bangs home the easy goal to add to the Owls' lead. Temple's going to go on to win this one by a final score of 4-1. Temple's 4 goals is the most in a single game since 2017. It is also the most goals Tulsa has allowed in a game all season. As mentioned, it was senior night at the Temple Sports Complex on Friday. 6 players were honored, but we're going to focus on 3 of those standouts. Captain Pierre Cayet from France has been leading at center back for the Owls for 3 years now. During his time, Cayet has scored 5 goals to go along with 1 assist. Brandon Johnson is another key guy from the defensive unit who's on his way out. The Arizona native had 1 goal back in 2019, but I think we all remember the physicality he brought to the field, including that huge upset win against SMU earlier this season where he received a red card. And then there's the sports journalist himself, Esteban Suarez. Suarez has 2 goals along with 3 assists in his 2 seasons with Temple since transferring from Mexico. As we talked about a few weeks ago, the future is very bright for the bilingual reporter. Temple has 2 more games on the road against Memphis and SMU. The Owls must finish in the top 4 to make the AAC tournament. They currently trail the 3rd and 4th seeds by just 2 points. 1 win equals 3 points. So Temple has a shot to make the tournament heading into the final week of the season. The women's soccer team has already come to an end. The Owls finished with a disappointing loss on the road to Houston. The Owls ended with a 4-5-1 record. All 5 losses came against conference opponents. These 3 standouts each had 2 goals apiece this season, and Gabby Johnson and Haley Gutowski will both be back next season. Wilkins could be back with the extra year of eligibility given to all D1 athletes, but this was technically her senior season. As of now, it looks like regular fall soccer will return in 2021. Over to traditional spring sports, including the golf team, who finished 3rd of 12 at the Connecticut Cut. Sophomore Graham Chase recorded his first par round of the season. Junior Connor McGrath also did well, finishing with the best round of the day, a 1/73. Next up is the Temple Spring Invite at Plymouth meeting this Saturday. The streak of 29 years without a full team gymnastics appearance at regionals was scheduled to come to an end in 2021, but the streak lives on. I'm sending it over to my partner Brooklyn Vaughn to recap the disappointing week in Temple gymnastics that still had some individual highs. Hey, Brooklyn.
Hey, Adam. Yeah, it was a heartbreaking end to a historic season for the Temple gymnastics program when news broke on Thursday afternoon that the team would be pulling out of the Salt Lake City regionals due to COVID-19 protocols and contact tracing. But it wasn't all bad news. 2 Owls were still able to compete individually, and history was still made out in Utah this past weekend. Representing the Owls on the floor and the vault was none other than the junior transfer, Juliana Rowland. She scored a 9.5 on the floor, but her vault routine tallied an impressive 9.850, which ties the program record for the best vault score. She ties for 14th place in that event. And then there was senior Faith Leary, who cemented herself as the highest scoring and highest placing gymnast to ever compete for the Owls, regardless of the event. Her show-stopping floor routine posted a 9.9, good enough to tie for 3rd place in the regional competition. And some more good news for Owls fans. Faith Leary and Tori Edwards have decided to return to Temple for their 5th year of eligibility. They've been 2 anchors of this team for the past 2 seasons, and they're ready to run it back for a final time in the cherry and the white. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Brooklyn Vaughn. Adam, back to you.
Thanks, Brooklyn. Definitely some good news for next season. Let's head outside for some field hockey action. Temple hit the road to take on the 6th-ranked Liberty Flames for 2 games over the weekend. Neither went the Owls' way, though. Temple lost both games, losing 4-2 on Saturday and 2-0 on Sunday. Liberty is undefeated at home this season at 6-0. The Owls will take on Nova for 2 straight starting this Friday. And finally, we'll finish out with some track. The AAC Track Athlete of the Week award landed on North Broad thanks to Grace Moore's performance at the Raleigh Relays. Moore finished 6th out of 87 runners in the 5,000 meter. She crossed the finish line at 15 minutes and 47.98 seconds. The time set a new record in the event. And that's all the time we have for this edition of OwlAccess Pass. Owl Sports Update will be back this Thursday live on TUTV. Follow us on social media at Owl Sports Update for everything Temple Athletics. For Brooklyn Vaughn and the entire crew, I'm Adam Cronally. Stay safe and we will talk to you soon.